These problems right here actually look a little bit more like beginning algebra review, but at the beginning of intermediate algebra, that's what you do, is review some of the beginning algebra. So these should be pretty straightforward. Right here we need to start by distributing the 5, so we're going to have the 5 times x and 5 times negative 8. And then just recopy the 1 n equals 16. So this right here is negative 39, so I need to get rid of that by adding 39 to both sides. So we would have 5x is equal to, let's see, this is going to be 15 if you carry the 1, 55. And then simply divide both sides by 5. X is equal to 11. For this one over here, there's a couple of ways to do it. You could add the two fractions together and then cross multiply, or you could take the least common denominator, which in this case is an 8, and multiply all of the terms by an 8. So multiply this one by 8, by 8, and by 8. Essentially what I'm doing is multiplying both sides of the equation by the same thing, an 8, and then on this side distributing the 8 to the two terms. Anyway, now when you cancel or reduce, the 8 will cancel. It leaves x minus 3. Right here, the 4 would divide into the 8 two times. And on the other side is a 16. So let's see, this combines to be a negative 1. So do the opposite, add 1 to both sides. And within those two steps, we're done. X is equal to 17. So in this one, we need to start inside the brackets and distribute the negative 3. Notice that you cannot do 2 minus 3 because order of operations says you have to do multiplication before you ever do addition and subtraction. So distribute this negative 3. So the 7 would still be there, bracket 2, and then minus 3t. And then a negative times negative will make a positive 12. And then we need to work inside the brackets and combine this to make a 14 minus 3t. Next step is to distribute that 7, so we need 7 times 14. And let's see, 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 10 is 70. So that's a grand total of 98. And then minus 21t, distributing the 7 to this negative 3. And just recopy minus 2t equals 1. So then subtract 98 from both sides. Combine these, it's negative 23t. This is going to be negative 97. And then just divide both sides by negative 23, and the negatives are going to cancel. We get 97 over 23. And then we need to see if we could reduce. So can a 97 be divided by 23? Well, 23 is a prime number, so the only question is, does 23 divide into 97? 97 divided by 23 is a decimal. Another way to do it is on these calculators. Math, change it to a fraction. 97 over 23 is the reduced form. Ta-da! Over here, you could do the same thing that I did over here, use the least common denominator to clear the fraction. But with this one, all I really need to do is subtract the 32. This, by the way, looks like the formula for converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to Celsius between the two systems. Anyway, let's see. Back to something more interesting. If I subtract these, it's going to leave 63. and then 9/5 C. And then the way to get rid of the 9/5 is multiply by the reciprocal 5/9. 5/9. So these are going to cancel, leaving the C. And then can we reduce this? Well, 9 times 7 is 63, so yes, it will divide. The 9 divides into this 7 times, so we've got 7 times 5 is 35. So that means if you had 95 degrees in Fahrenheit, then everywhere else in the world would call that 35 degrees Celsius.